Let's go. Welcome back. Northernlion plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. We died. We must have died on the NLSS when we did an Isaac run, because I thought we'd won our last run. But that's alright. This bothers me literally 0%. W8MD for LAM with good damage, good rate of fire, good luck, and we're going to need some good luck because our speed is a little low. So is our shot speed for that matter, but that's largely irrelevant most of the time. So we're hoping for maybe like an early Dagaz rune. It's an early Awaz rune, which is not really as useful, but we could use it to maybe get a half-price curse room or something like that. We've been playing better. The dailies have been strong lately. And I feel like I mean, how many times have I said it? But I'm out of the slump, as far as I'm concerned. Monstrous Lung is a great item, especially with a good rate of fire, which we have right now. Okay, don't let that guy get that close. That's way too risky. But especially with a good rate of fire, we got very little to concern ourselves with right now. And apparently, like, every fire is giving us a drop, so it's pretty lucky. Usually you'll come in here and buy a Spirit Heart, and maybe buy the other thing they got as well. Rules card, a dark market lies under your feet. Irrelevant. You know, I've actually been to a black market once in my life. And I say that as if I'm aware that a black market is not necessarily a place that exists always. Instead, you know, it's a loose construct of shady dealings and illicit goods. But when I lived in South Korea, there is a market, and you know, it's not a black market like you can buy drugs there. I'm pretty sure it's a black market like we don't pay import taxes here. So I went there, and it was like, you know, you could buy North American products that aren't for sale in South Korea, but they brought them in. It was really expensive. Like, if you wanted, like, American Cheetos, it was like $4 for, like, a little single-serving bag or something like that. I'm like, this is the worst black market ever. I thought you were supposed to be able to buy, like, nuclear warheads here. All I got is overpriced Pringles. But you will, if you lived there long enough, you would start to consider paying $4 for some American Cheetos, I think. American Cheetos, made with real cheese. American Cheetos, a Frito-Lay subsidiary. Don't you forget about Flamin' Hot. Those are the spiciest Cheetos they got. Sometimes they also sell the paws, but I haven't seen them for so long. Now Cheetos. Okay, we've gone too far, but I felt like I had enough fuel to carry that for a little while, and it seemed to work. Because there's Korean Cheetos, but they're like, I'm not saying they're worse. They're just not to my sensibilities. They're a little sweeter than regular Cheetos, and that's not what I'm looking for. You know, I'm ashamed to admit, one time I paid $7, the equivalent of $7 when I lived in Korea for a bag of goldfish crackers from Pepperidge Farms. And I ate the whole thing in like 45 minutes. It's like, this was so highly not worth it. I have to eat my shame as soon as possible. But it was a taste, you know, from back home. So it was important morale-wise at the time, I suppose. Never again, though. I mean, you can get those, like, you know, 2 for $3 at the grocery store. And I'm talking $3 Canadian, which in this day and age, you know, you can't get anything for $3 Canadian. Except 2 cartons of goldfish crackers. Either way, this run is like, you know, you always gotta temper expectations a little bit. It's not a guaranteed win, but it's very, very good. We probably will not need... Yeah, okay, so, like, it's very... Oh, but... No, it works. Okay, that's what I was a little worried that maybe I'd ruined the Monstrous Lung synergy by taking Mom's Knife, but I'm not sure if we've made it better. Like, a lot of people will probably be like, Monstrous Lung is more fun, but Monstrous Lung, Mom's Knife is rare enough that I want to see where this synergy goes. Like, the next obvious, ridiculous pickup is Brimstone. If we can get Mom's Knife... Just use Awaz right now, because, like, the Strength card could provide us with a decent amount of value. If you can get Mom's Knife, Brimstone, Monstrous Lung, I'm very interested to see how that world works out for us. But now, I mean, you could probably call this. CNN projects this run will go in favor of Northernlion. It will be a streak of 1. Get excited, America. Let's come down here. Okay. Stay away. Get a secret room. Don't stay away. Come sail away. Come sail away with me. Battery charge gives us the Empress card. Irrelevant. This could be a quick one as well. And the irony, I guess, of that, you know, Cheetos story is that once I was back in Canada, you know, if you wanted to get legitimate South Korean instant ramen, you could do so absurdly cheap in South Korea. It's like 20. Sometimes, you know, wake up on a Saturday morning, got no food in the apartment, go down to the convenience store, buy like a 40-cent package of ramen, use their hot water to cook it, and then go to town, right? It was a decent way to spend your morning. Was I hungover? Possibly. Happens on occasion. Not proud of it. Nothing in there. Head down to the next floor. In my younger days, at least. In my younger days, I used to... something. When I went to school, I carried lunch in a bag with an apple for my teacher because I'd always get a kiss. Always got mad when the class was dismissed. That's Farside's 1993 magnum opus, Passing Me By. Also known to the younger generation as the beat that plays just before Juicy by Biggie Smalls mixed with Elton John's Tiny Dancer appears on Girl Talk's 2006 magnum opus Night Moves, or whatever the first album was called. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then when I came back to Canada, I would pay like, you know, I'd go to the import grocery store downtown and be like, yeah, $2.50 for the same ramen, and then I eat it, and I'm like, this is not worth it. Ashton Kutcher has punked me in a big way here. Well, it was a bit of a sloppy play to not pick up the Spirit Hearts before we came in here, but again, we actually cannot be stopped. This run is so overwhelmingly amazing right now that basically nothing could possibly stand in our way, except for my own hubris, admittedly, but fairly unlikely, let's be honest. So, grab these. We still got our Strength card. Now we have Whore of Babylon as well, but, I mean, when you have Mom's Knife, pretty much everything else is, like, inconsequential. This is just gonna be... It's actually great, and I'm gonna, you know, build the meta-narrative here, because I know sometimes people get disappointed. You take Mom's Knife, they go, free win. Sure, but we've had a couple of runs, you know, within the past couple of weeks that have thrown free wins into question, you know, made me excited to get free wins. So we haven't always made that an easy time of things, I should say. But this is like, I had a busy Friday planned. You know, I had a stream that I was supposed to do, and then the stream sort of fell through, but will happen at a later date with more details. And then you're supposed to do Roundtable. Roundtable got canceled. So I'm sitting here, I made time today. I made so much time today. And now all the things that I had to do with that time have fallen by the wayside. Now, you might take that as a good opportunity to play hooky, but, you know, my job is playing video games to begin with. So what I'll do instead is, I got like a day of like 9 Isaac episodes lined up for me here. And it's been a while since I've had the opportunity to do that. You know, if I knock out 9 Isaac, well, it doesn't have to be 9, but, you know, somewhere in the vicinity. A lot of Isaac episodes. If I knock out the Isaac episodes, that opens up the backlog hose a little bit. Allows me to spend some time recording Hollow Knight and getting that series, like, back to actually existing. So it's like, there's a little kink in the pipe, because I've been busy with a variety of things as opposed to, like, singularly making Isaac content, which is normally my focus. But anyway, the point is, if I'm gonna spend the whole day recording Isaac, dude, a Mom's Knife superpowered run is like my second run of the day after a daily that also went really well, is the dream come true. It's time for the opposite of a slump. It's time for a streak, baby. And then fast forward to like 13 minutes and 30 seconds later. I died in Mom's womb. Killed by this thing, and I guarantee it's a freaking vaginal silkworm. It's up to us to not let that become a reality. By the way, we did start with PokeGo on this run. Has the Pokeball craze hit your part of the world yet? If you're from Hawaii, feel free to just call me an idiot, because I believe that it is the Hawaiian food that started there. It has, like, taken over Vancouver now. Like, until recently, whenever people would, like, make fun of Vancouver, whenever Vancouverites would make fun of Vancouver, they'd be like, you know, there's a spot downtown where there's a Starbucks, and then literally you cross the street, and on the opposing corner, there's another Starbucks. There's 2 Starbucks right next to each other. Isn't that peak Vancouver? Nah. Now, there's one place, downtown, I believe it's in Yaletown, and there is a poke shop. You know, I'll talk about more what about poke is, or what poke is in a second here. And then right next to it is a shop that sells poke-ritos, which is just the ingredients of poke in a burrito, and it might be even with sushi rice. That's peak Vancouver as far as I'm concerned. Poke is basically a raw fish salad, for lack of a better word. You know, it's like chunks of raw ahi tuna, usually, sometimes salmon, or, you know, albacore on occasion. And then it's, you know, you mix it with either, like, mixed greens or rice and, you know, some kind of dressing or sauce and mangoes, pineapples, etc. You put it in a bowl and eat it. I gotta admit, it's delicious. People, I think, people eschew hipsterdom, and that's fine, you know? I am the dude who accidentally made my friend pay $21 for 3 cups of coffee once. That story I've been roasted for, and I brought it up because I deserve to be roasted for that story. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Give me a potato peeler. However, there's parts of hipster culture I embrace, and I think it's important to embrace them because otherwise I'd be self-loathing. Good coffee, cold brew, that's one of them. And I'll admit, more than once I've had somebody deliver me a raw fish salad on a bicycle. I'm okay with that. If you haven't tried it, I'd recommend... Well, I wouldn't recommend it. It's like, you gotta build up to it. If you've never had, like, sashimi before, you should have sashimi and then be like, okay, now I'll go all in on this poke. Because it's like, sometimes it's a tall order to get somebody to be like, you should really try this salad, because that's sucking up one lunch or dinner entree potentially, you know? You're saying, hey, go to my favorite restaurant, order a Waldorf salad. What's up with that? I'm gonna get the, you know, the blue cheeseburger, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But anyway, if you're going for a raw fish concoction, make sure you enjoy raw fish first. It might be one of my favorite archetypes. Don't let Sinvicta know, he's gonna lose his mind. I can concoct, like, the most anti-Sinvicta food in existence. It's a cucumber roll. Sliced cucumber, wrapped in sushi rice, wrapped in seaweed. He would lose his mind. It's alright, though. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Of course, you know, when I'm eating the poke, am I thinking in my head, I'd like a pepperoni pizza? No, I'm not. Except for the fact that at a genuine baseline level, if you ask me at any point during the day, any day, hey, you want a slice of pepperoni pizza? The answer is going to be yes. You know what? Check this out. Strength. He's a god. Got 2 free plays of the Demon Judgment and the level 1 Meat Boy and the Potato Peeler damage upgrade just by using the strength card there. I will always say yes to 1 slice of pepperoni pizza. The only time I will not say yes to 1 slice of pepperoni pizza, and this is actually literally true, and I'm thinking that it's highly relatable as well, is when I've very recently consumed 1 too many slices of pizza. Doesn't have to be pepperoni. Like, straight up, it's 2:11 p.m. right now. If you were like, hey, if Kate came into the room and said there's 4 slices of pepperoni pizza in the fridge, do you want some? I'd be like, absolutely. That's an anytime food. I mean, like, it shouldn't be, but it is. I call that the pizza mood. The pizza barometer. It's really more of like a litmus test. It's a Boolean value. You're either true on pepperoni pizza or you're not. If you're vegetarian, you know, I don't know what food it is for vegetarians that's like the pepperoni pizza conundrum. I think about it sometimes because, like, my wife gets food cravings. She's not pregnant. Anytime the media has conditioned you incorrectly. If a woman is ever nauseous or has a food craving, the internet goes, "Oh, she's pregnant." No, that's just you've watched one too many sitcoms where, you know, somebody throws up, and then you're like, oh, she must be sick. No, wait, there's a new Seinfeld on the way. They never did that in Seinfeld, but you get the idea. I don't understand the concept of a food craving. I can eat almost anything at almost any time. Is that a male thing or is that a me thing? I'm not trying to be like, DAE. I'm just, does anybody else not get food craves? But I actually just cannot put myself in those shoes. Like when my wife says, what are you feeling for dinner tonight? I actually usually have no preference. I'm like, skillfully cooked matter of almost any form sounds like it would really hit the spot tonight. And it sounds like I'm making a caricature of myself, but I'm really not. Sometimes she'll try to catch me. She'll be like, oh, do you want to get, like, sushi tonight? I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. What about pizza, though? Also sounds good. And then she's like, ha ha, gotcha. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You don't understand. It's the pepperoni pizza barometer. Could eat almost anything at any time. Do you have a favorite food? Yes. Whichever food is in front of me at the present time is in the lead. It's a shifting list. It's a power rankings, ESPN Pierre LeBrun style. What are you talking about, NL? Fair question. Fair question, straw man. Okay. Waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and eat us, but he doesn't know what he's gonna order because he has no food preferences. All right, but like, I don't get cravings. I find cravings are context based. Like if I have a bag of Sun Chips in the house, I'm like, I'm really craving Sun Chips. I don't have any Sun Chips in the house right now. Am I craving them? Nah, not really. But if I had Sun Chips in the house, it's wow, that's weird. I've got a sneaking craving for these Sun Chips right now. It's basically, I crave whatever's around. Round, round, get around, I crave around. Round, round, crave around, I crave around. That's my treatise on food consumption. I don't understand it. What's the deal with blank? How's the Isaac run going? It's been like 10 minutes since we commented on it. Honestly, it could be another, like, we could go 30 minutes without commenting on this Isaac run, because it's so disgustingly won at the present moment that there's, like, no concerns here. The only problem with it is potentially HP. But, like, to be legitimate right now, we should probably never get hit for the rest of the game. We have a case to not get hit for the rest of the game, at the very least. We probably will, because it's just unrealistic to expect that level of perfection, but we shouldn't get hit, probably. So, we bought everything that there was to buy, more or less, and then we're going to donate some money, and honestly, we might as well throw down a bomb, see if there's a secret room, and gets, well, it totally worked out. We got some more money in the process as well, and we're on the depths, too, so we're, like, good to go when it comes to going to boss rush as well. Nick actually posed an interesting question on Twitter the other day. He said, at what point is it socially acceptable in the day to order a pizza? And there are many, many kind people out there watching this video who are saying, if the pizza place is open, it's acceptable to order a pizza. I disagree with you. I do think if you hold a normal schedule, like let's say you wake up in the morning, you know, maybe like 7, 8, 9 a.m., somewhere in that window, it's not acceptable to order a pizza before 11. By not acceptable, I don't mean you can't do it. I just mean, like, if I did it, I would feel a slight bit of personal shame. But sometimes I'm okay with that. Sometimes I'm very much for that. Like, I think it's socially mildly unacceptable to do that. 11 is what I consider to be the first acceptable pizza ordering time, and I have a historical precedent for that. In elementary, middle, and high school, our lunchtime was at 11 a.m., which seems ridiculous to me right now. Because it was 11 a.m. Eastern time, and now that I live on the West Coast, I'm like, we were eating lunch at the equivalent of our 8 a.m. Eastern time. Or sorry, 8 a.m. Pacific time. I know that's not really meaningful with how time zones work. It's like, wow, in Japan, they eat breakfast. Well, we're asleep. What a country, you know? But no, it just like, it puts it in perspective for me. Sometimes, you know, if I'm ever awake at 8 a.m., I'm like, why am I so tired? This was lunchtime when I was in high school. By the way, I know just by bringing that up, people are going to be like, that's stupid. Lunchtime's 12:30. You know, everybody has their own historical basis for when their lunchtime was. I'm not trying to step on your toes. Moldy Bread is a potato peeler play. Dark Princess Crown is garbage. I think we just go Mystery Sack because it's free, and then hope that we get some half-decent junk out of this. And I'll say right now, I think 11 a.m. is too early for lunch. I like a noon lunch myself, but anyway, I think 11 a.m. is like, if you were having a pizza party in like your middle school, you could order a pizza then, and thus I think it's acceptable for everybody on Earth to order a pizza then. I actually have lunchtime strats, and I know that some of you out there share this with me because I can't be the only weirdo. One of my summer jobs that I worked was an office job and this was like incredibly freeing at the time. You could choose when to take your 50-minute lunch break. You know, they trusted you to be an adult. They were like, you know, whenever you feel like you want to take lunch, just take a 50-minute lunch break and you're good to go. As long as you're back. You know, it's pretty lackadaisical attitude. People worked hard, but still, it's like you can do what you want as long as it's within the realms of reason. So I was like, hey, I'm a summer student. Let's be honest. I'm just here so I won't get fined. I don't have a long-term future at this company, in all honesty, probably, but I'm gonna work hard. But here's my strategy. I took lunch. I worked 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I took lunch at 3. You're gonna think that that's crazy, but hear me out. 8:30 to 3, work hard. 3 p.m., take your 50-minute lunch break, come back at 3:50. Everybody else is basically shutting down for the day. You know, the last 15, 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in an office, everybody's just watching the clock, waiting to get home. You know, many of the days at the very least. So I'd come back and I'd be like, hey, is there any work for me? And they'd be like, nah, dog. It's the day's over. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh, okay, because I just got back from lunch. Is there anything to do? And they'd be like, nah, just, you know, don't just chill out, but like, here's some busy work, basically. And I thought I was a genius. And I was a genius because somebody complained to HR, and then like a week later, I got an email. By the way, these are like the best working days of my life. The time till lunchtime stretched out in infinity, admittedly, but after lunchtime, it was like a breeze. It was like the day was over at 3 p.m. I'd artificially shorten my own workday without compromising my productivity in the eyes of my supervisors. This is a model employee. It's innovation. That's why I'm working in the hot field of new media now. It's forward-thinking ideas like that, right? But yeah, someone complained to HR, and they're like, oh, I don't see why he should be able to take lunch at 3 p.m. because, you know, sometimes we need him there for the meetings in which we talk about things that are way over his pay grade and never ask for his feedback on anything because he's not going to work here in 3 months. So yeah, there was a company-wide email that, you know, at our 20-person large company, it was pretty obvious who it was directed to, but it was like, just a reminder to everyone, the acceptable lunch hour, if you want to take it, you can take it at any time between 11:30 and 1:30. Please do not take your lunch break outside of these hours because it will result in not being able to be as productive as we'd like in meetings and, you know, blah, blah. And I was like, I mean, in a way, I was like, I've been bested. Moriarty, you know? He outthought me. You screwed up my plan. But I was also bummed because I was like, you know, I beat the system. Isn't that supposed to be rewarded? I'm doing the same amount of work, but it feels like it's 15% less. I've just gotten another opiate of the masses to get me through the day. And then, you know, that was that. Actually, you're gonna think that I was a bad employee, but I was actually, like, a good employee. And this, I mean, I have no way to prove that to you, nor do I really feel the compulsion, except for the fact that despite being like a summer student who had a temporary tenure there, when there was like 6 weeks left in my contract out of 12, they were like, you know what? They called me into their office, and I was like, oh, I'm getting fired for the lunch thing. But no, they gave me a little raise, and they didn't have to do that. And I was very proud of that little raise, because the job was on a meta level completely meaningless, but I gave it my all. and I cared about it, and I was rewarded. But at the same time, I was also like, come on, the lunch thing. Pretty genius, right? You're gonna ask some questions. You're gonna be like, hey, were you hungry? Yeah, man. But you know, you can always get up and go like, you know, eat an apple or something like that. If you've never worked in an office, I mean, I'm gonna burst the bubble for you. There's a lot, most of the time, and some people are gonna comment on this and be like, not at my office. And you know what? That's sweet. But this was like a shock for me when I entered the office working world. And admittedly, I know I'm getting off on a sidetrack here. We should definitely do an extra floor now that we have Dark Prince's crown, but as a trinket. I forget what it's called. In fact, no, we shouldn't use it just yet. But anyway, in fact, this is very different when I was a teacher. You know, anytime you spend in the office, you're like, thank God I'm not teaching right now. I'm gonna go, you know, look at my phone for 15 seconds and drink a bottle of water and then go back into the freaking animal kingdom of the classroom, right? But anyway, my perception as a teenager of what offices were like was like, work, work, work. It's like the Rihanna song, you know, non-stop. But depending on where you work, there's a lot of downtime. There's sometimes, you know, slow days. You're just kind of sitting there waiting for things to manifest. There's also days that are very busy, but certainly not all of them. So, yeah, spend a lot of time just like listening to the radio. Wasn't a bad gig, honestly. I don't think we have an item room on this floor, which is why I'm re-rolling the floor right now, basically. Because I think it only manifests the item room once you pick up the trinket. It only manifests the item room on floor load when you have the trinket, I believe. Could be wrong, but I think that's how it goes. We should check this. Anyway, that's that. That's my working anecdote. I've had some jobs, believe it or not. Despite entering, you know, the YouTube scene at a fairly young age, I have had some real jobs. I had a summer job. Well, I had a job in my first year of college, phoning alumni to ask for money. It's a great time to do that gig, because you're like, this is the best school on earth. And then, you know, as you get a little older and a little bit more jaded, like if my school called me asking for money right now, I'd be like, for what? I'm 28 years old. You guys barely got your claws out of me recently. What do you want money for? You're a publicly funded university. I'm biting the hand that feeds, I guess, to some extent here. And, you know, donating to your alma maters could be a great source of pride. But, you know, I'll admit that on the telephone, you get a lot of people who are like, why would I donate to the school? And you just go, well, you know, tuition only costs 1/3 of what it takes to actually send a child to school and blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, well, the other 2/3 comes from the freaking, like, one of the highest tax rates in the Western world. Anyway, this is irrelevant at this point. So I had that job. That was good for perspective. Gives you a great tolerance for being yelled at. Maybe one of the reasons I don't take negative YouTube comments that seriously is because, you know, I've already been yelled at by enough, like, adults who are like, you called me during the news. And I'm like, well, you know, you could have just not picked up the phone. What are you talking about? The phone rings, you have to pick it up. That's the #1 rule of telephones. Not that I'm, you know, defending basically the concept of telemarketing. Oh, help me. Thank you. I worked as a donation processor at Goodwill for a while. So essentially people would drop garbage bags full of stuff in front of the Goodwill. And, you know, you grab it, you sort through it and go, this one doesn't smell like urine. All right, put a $1.50 price tag on it, put it out there. That was largely pretty terrible, to be honest with you. I didn't work that for too long. Temporarily worked as a database administrator. And then a teacher, you know, it's a broad scope of knowledge here. For better, for worse. Spirit hearts, please. Dude, the red hearts are actually fine as well. Thank you. But, you know, you probably didn't ask for my life story. We smelted a good trinket there, dude. So we have not seen our item room on this floor. Let's go back and look for it. I'm going to crack into that 4th level meat boy there. And you know what? I'm spoiled. I didn't get my first job until I was 17. Which, I mean, that might seem Depending on who you are, that might seem ridiculously late or ridiculously early. But I had anxiety about it. So I'm saying that to let you know, maybe you're 16, 17, 18, and you're like, oh, I don't have a job yet. I'm screwed. You're not screwed. I mean, if you're screwed, we're all screwed. Let's put it that way. I mean, people are not retiring anymore, so that's the thing you should be worried about. You shouldn't be like, oh, I don't have a good resume. You should be like, everybody's working until they die, and people don't die until they're 85 now. So, like, that's... all the jobs are being done by robots. So, I mean, that's the problem. But, don't sweat it is what I'm trying to say. Here's a little song I wrote. Try not to worry about your resume. Don't worry about the resume. But, I mean, like, maybe worry a little bit about it. Like, the long and short of it is that I have no idea. Where the heck... We've already been to our item room. We just went to it 2 seconds ago. What are you talking about here? We got nothing. Advisable. Anyway. Head down here. It's a very long run for a run that's, like, mom's knife heavy. Ooh. That's bad damage on my part. And we are light on HP. Like, we haven't gotten a ton of it, but we've lost more than we should have as well. So I'm looking for Hierophants here. We don't need anything else. I'm probably not going to fight Hush just because our HP is so low. For what it's worth, the other reason... That's so good. Thank you, Mystery Sack. You validated your existence. The other reason our HP is low is because I've traded all of our red hearts away to use Potato Peeler to get 5 levels of Meat Boys. So if we end up losing this run, it's Potato Peeler based hubris. There's no question about it. It gets all of us in the end. Since we have Chaos, I think we should peep this. Let's go. Spirit Heart. Actually, like, that's 1 floor's worth of fuel, so I'm happy. Okay, well, that might have just won us the game coming into this room. James West, Tame in the West. So remember the James. Let's go. I don't want to do this room. I've noticed a trend. Rooms I hate... Well, this room's actually great if you have, like, Contagion. But rooms I hate are usually rooms where the enemies are just numerous. So it's annoying to kill them. But you know what? You need some annoying rooms. The sweet just isn't as sweet without the sour. I swear to God, I saw a knife fly through one of these enemies and not kill them. Do the Monstro's long knives not do any damage? On a scale of 1 to Halifax Explosion, that would be like maybe a 4 on the Bomber scale. I mean, the Halifax Explosion, it's a catastrophic event. Many people died, but it was also like 100 years ago, so people outside of Canada definitely learn about the Halifax Explosion. I'm just not sure to what extent, because I think it was Austin brought it up on the NLSS the other day. I was like, how many provinces in Canada can you name? And then he's like, well, there's the one where the explosion was. And I was like, how does this guy know about a Halifax? I'm not saying it's a... I've been to Halifax. Lovely place. If I had to live east of Ontario... This is kind of a backhanded compliment. I don't necessarily mean it like that. If I had to live east of Ontario, Halifax would probably be high on the list. If I had to live east of Quebec, Halifax would be high on the list. That should be spun. Nicely spun. I like it. It's a little small by my takes, but very friendly people. Great food. There's an IMAX there. I haven't been there in like literally 18 years, but still. So I'm not... Dude, I've got mad respect for the Maritimes. Even if I think, sometimes your customs are a little funky. Like, I mean, just go look up the mummers from Newfoundland. That might even be, like, something that Newfoundland inherited from Scotland? Ireland? I'm not sure. But, they get into some wacky stuff up there, but that's half the charm, They're kissing cod on occasion, drinking screeching. I'm not talking about Saved by the Bell. I would like to know how much HP we have left here. The answer is enough. I think we should potato peel. Like, a second level Meat Boy is not worth that much, but if we're already committed to peeling, like, why not take it all the way, right? This is a nice, like, again, this is a good run to set the tone for the rest of the day. If I'm going to be recording a bunch of Isaac, which is basically like my dream workday at this point, well, that's not totally fair. Dead Cells is also lovely to record. The NLSS is a lot of fun. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds has its hooks in me. Like today's, or this month or so is like an excellent time to be me from a working satisfaction standpoint. However, it's nice to have a run that starts with like some great momentum here. We did miss the Hush fight, but we're gonna get through this one very easily. I don't know, Void, who cares, is basically my perspective. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Curse of the Unknown is always a little dicey. Spear of Destiny is weird. Lost Fly takes us closer to Beelzebub. Bookworm Attempt, at least. I'm not taking Curse of the Tower, it's just a little too dicey. Infested's fine. Gulp is useless right now, but good otherwise. Bombs are key. Essentially, second verse, same as the first, you know? We don't guarantee ourselves item rooms on the... Wait a minute. Does Bloody Crown give you item rooms after... Wait, does it give you item rooms on the womb, or does it give you item rooms on the womb and beyond? Because if it gives it to you on the womb and beyond, we should have been peeping a little closer attention on the cathedral. I mean, there's no shortage of items here, but on the cathedral, it would have been nice. Oh, another Curse of the Tower? All right. Is that a foul portent for our next episode of The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus? Only time will flip and tell, buddy, but for now, this one, like, popped off ridiculously. And I had a little, like, Grandpa NL's sit-down hour. Let me tell you about the 6 real jobs I had before I got this incredible fake one. I will say, you know, there's good and bad things about what I do now. The bad thing is, it really does take, like, a mild psychological toll on you to get yelled at by adolescents on a regular basis. Not everybody who yells at me is an adolescent, I'll admit. And I'm not trying to, you know, talk down to the people that are fans, but also yell at me, because that's biting the hand that feeds. But there's something particularly demeaning about being yelled at someone who has, like, a Neopets logo that you're like, oh, man. Is this really what I've aspired to in life? Most jobs, you don't get yelled at very much by 12-year-olds. The difference, well, I mean, sometimes teaching, but then you just go, I'll call your parents, and they go, please, oh my god, that's like, I'd rather go to prison. Anyway. The other side of it, and I feel like a lot of YouTubers miss out on this, there's also no other job that I can possibly conceive of, at least outside of being like a, you know, another entertainer, like a singer or something like that, where people tweet you on a regular basis and go like, hey, you know, I watch your stuff every day and I love it. And like, I look at those tweets and I think, I make garbage. That's amazing. What other job in the world you play video games, crack jokes over the top, and have people, you know, something they even come up to you in person and go like, hey, I watch your videos every day. That's incredible. That's like an inconceivable level of flattery. And I do feel like, you know, the longer I do this, the more I appreciate that, and the more I just slough off like comments that are undeservedly critical. You know, it's a matter of like self-respect. I still see other YouTubers, sometimes YouTubers that were you know, they're in the circle with us, and they get like a 1 or 2 really nasty comments, and they stew about it all day. And I think I'm in a way, I'm lucky that I don't have that psychological compulsion, but I also used to some extent, and I just sort of grew out of it. You know, you got to focus on the positive and recognize it's like the greatest job in the world to have. So many of you watch these videos and email me like, hey, you know, you've really been like a therapeutic influence in my life. Like, that's That's flattering. We got gushy at the end of this episode, but that's cool. We didn't quite get guppy. That's not as cool. But maybe in the next episode. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time.